Will medical cannabis access points require licenses through the Liquor Control Board under I-502? Allison?
Initiative 502 doesn't change anything at all about the way that our medical marijuana law works. So if you're an access point right now and you are legally protected, and I think that's an open question, you can continue to operate as you are. The licensing provisions only apply to retail outlets that want to sell cannabis to adults 21 and over, regardless of their medical status.
Will 502 require medical cannabis access points to be 1,000 feet from any elementary or secondary school? There's a list of items here. Playground, recreation center or facility, child care center, public park, public transit center, or library.
That's all in reference to the retail outlets that Initiative 502 proposes to regulate. So the answer is the same as to the previous one. Those regulations only apply to retail outlets that would be licensed under Initiative 502 to sell cannabis to any adult 21 and over. They don't apply to any medical marijuana cooperatives or access points.
Could you show us where in 502 that medical access is protected? We also don't seem to allow for any possible gains from cannabis tourism or production for other purposes other than this simple 1 ounce decrim. There's 58,000 products that can be made with cannabis, and I'm just wondering why it wasn't broader to actually give the benefit of cannabis to the people of the state rather than just taking the money from the people that consume.
Thank you. Allison?
The first question regarding medical marijuana is you don't have to put anything in Initiative 502 to not change anything in the medical marijuana law. Initiative 502 amends the Uniform Controlled Substance Act of Washington, which is codified at RCW 6950, and the medical marijuana law is codified at RCW 6951A, and Initiative 502 doesn't touch 6951A. So that's how that happens. The final one was all the other products are covered. I guess maybe I don't understand your question, but Initiative 502 specifically speaks to not simply usable marijuana, but also marijuana-infused products in both liquid and solid forms. So I don't. All the products are available.
That's the medical end of it. I'm saying that
they're not in the medical in Initiative 502.
Right. The premise was that 502 is legalization, and the scope of legalization and the benefit to the people of the state would be much greater than simply provided for through the solid dry medicine or infused products or the liquids.
It would be much greater if what?
If we had access to produce and
to grow yourself.
Put all those other items that are non-active into commerce, stuff like hemp shirts. We currently import from China. Why can't we grow here and have those jobs here and that tax base here?
Gotcha. Hemp is, in fact, covered by Initiative 502 because what Initiative 502 does is it amends the definition of marijuana under the Uniform Controlled Substance Act so that the term marijuana only applies to cannabis that has at least 0.3% of active THC concentration in dry weight, which is the standard that's been adopted by other countries, by other states that actually have hemp laws, and is the standard that's used in the Federal Industrial Hemp Farming Act that's been introduced a few years in a row now. And I know that there are people that debate whether or not that's the right standard, but that's the standard that's been used for hemp in other jurisdictions, and if it needs to be changed, it can be. But in essence, Initiative 502 completely decriminalizes hemp under Washington state law because industrial hemp will no longer fall under the definition of marijuana.
In my reading of the bill, there are specific restrictions as to the movement of product. It specifically says it must go from the grower to a processor, at which point there's a tax generated, and from the processor then on to the retailer, and another tax generated. The market right now in the medical area is that the producer is free to go directly to the market, free to go directly to the end user patient, and so I do not see how 502 gives free enterprise its fair share.
So there's nothing that prohibits a producer from also getting a processor's license. And then again, there's nothing about Initiative 502 that changes the medical market because whatever's happening right now under the medical marijuana law can continue as is. This Initiative 502 only addresses people that want to get licensed to be able to sell marijuana to adults 21 and over regardless of their medical status. So they could be two completely parallel systems.